Yeah. Uh-huh. 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 Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. 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 Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I want to welcome you to tonight's edition of Yes, You with Friends. I am your spiritual thought leader, Regina L. Stillman. And you see my two friends that are here with me tonight, Jonna and Royalty. And it's so good to be here. I see you out there, and I'm going to have them chat at you in just a minute. But I appreciate you, Mel. I see you, Mel Holiday. Sheila Miles, I see you. Come on in. And BTD Mom, Stacy 546. We got the number. We got the crew and everybody else that's out there that is not in our chat. I want to welcome you tonight, and I want my friends to welcome you at this time. How are you, Jonna? What's going on with you?
I'm good. It's good to see everybody. Missed last week, so it's good to be here tonight. Good to see y'all. And this week was crazy busy, but we pushed on through.
Come on,
We
come through.
had another 2 snow days, which was interesting, but we made it, and and that's that.
Okay, okay. Well, listen, and we're talking about more snow this Thursday, I understand.
Right.
So you'll get another chance to do it again.
I guess so. This one wasn't so bad though. The girls, they kind of got back into that little groove of being at home, and so I missed some of their little quirks and creativity. The fun part about them being at home doing their work, they showed me some of that. So we had a good time this week.
Good.
So
Good.
mhm.
And Rhonda, what's going on in your world, ma'am? Royalty.
Girl, I don't know what's going on in my world. Have you, have you ever felt like you don't know when the week began, and when the week end? It's like
See.
it's just all running together now.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Yeah, it's like I don't know when one ended and one began, and I don't know if it's all good. What you talk about today? We win.
We win.
We win.
We always win.
We always win.
Always win. That
Yeah.
L is for learn. There's no loss there. Come through.
Right, girl. We winning all the time. Look what. Hey, at the end, you probably didn't see it. I said we're winners, not wieners.
Winners.
That was when you was getting ready to go off the day.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it, Royalty. But that sounds like you. That sounds like you. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, things are starting to lift up.
Uh-huh.
Everybody, I know everybody should be excited about some things that are beginning to lift up.
Yes.
So I said that at the end of February, I was going to start coming back out a little at a time. So here we are. I'm getting ready to, and I mean, I'm coming out with a bang. I've got so much going on this week,
Wow.
but I'm coming out,
Come
coming
on.
out with my hands up.
Come on. I'm talking about it. Actually, I had gone to, when you said coming out, I was thinking, I'm coming out. So
Yeah.
I was on the wrong song.
No, I thought about that one too. You good? You winning?
Okay, we winning. We winning. That's the thing. We're gonna always say we winning. We are winning. Now, I appreciate you, Mino. I see you in the room. Come on, come on. It's good to have you on tonight. I know that's my sister. That's our telephone directory. She gives us our telephone numbers, and I tell you what, she keeps us going. I appreciate you. I know you've been working, but it's good to see you on tonight. Now, Jonna, I'm gonna come back, and I want you out of the mouth of the mother. I want you to tell us, because listen, I'm still tickled about Sasha's opinion piece that she had to write. So listen, I'm sure you can tell it much better than I, but I'm telling you, when I read your post, I rolled. I just literally rolled.
Right.
So let's talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit. Let me talk about my girl Sasha Fierce.
This is what it tickled me to the death, because that's what I missed about working so close, especially with her. I'm
Uh-huh.
telling you, this girl, she may look just like her daddy, but she got me all in them bones. And she just, I don't know, but she had to write an opinion piece, and her teacher sent me an email because it was late. I said, Sasha, you had have an opinion piece that's due. Mrs. Brown, she said you were supposed to turn it in. She's giving you till the end of the day to get it done. So I have to stay on her because she doesn't like to sit still and focus. So I have to
Mhm.
stay with her. So Sasha, what's the opinion piece about? It's about homework. I'm saying, okay, go ahead and write it. It's your opinion. Well, when I said that, she let them have it. She said there's no research that proves homework is good for, we have stuff to do when we get home, and now you with us all day at school, and now you want to take the little bit of time I got at home for homework. I mean, they asked for her opinion and she got it. And when she put mad, sad, and drowsy at the top, because she was mad, sad, and drowsy. She absolutely was. She said, I get sleepy every time I have to read these books because they're boring and I'm past this. And I thought, well,
Now,
you are.
back up to, there's absolutely no research that proves.
She said there is no research that proves homework does anything to help us retain information any further. So
That is hilarious. That
she
is.
let them have it.
We
Now her research methods are biased now. She did not look at the other side of that. But
So have we gotten a grade back on that yet?
no, not yet. I don't know what Mrs. Brown. Mrs. Brown is an older teacher, so I don't know. She's not here for the foolishness. But you ask an opinion and you got one, so we won't be silenced.
Now, I bet you Mrs. Brown, is that her name? She probably cackled all while she read that. I'm sure she did. I know she can't present that necessarily maybe to Sasha, but now there's no way she couldn't have cracked on that, because that was hilarious.
I know I did.
Baby.
Throughout the whole essay, that title was just the beginning. I should have posted the whole thing before I sent it over.
I love it. Bearded Baritone is in the room. He is a streamer, you all. So we invite you to follow him. And I promise you, his voice will do everything that you need done for you when you tune in. Good to have you, Bearded Baritone. Thank you for coming on in. Thank you for coming in the room. We're glad to have you. Oh, yeah, he's truly a baritone. There's no doubt about it. He is truly a baritone.
I heard him.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let me go click follow real quick.
You better follow Bearded Baritone. He's gonna bless your whole life. He came on with the millennials on last week and called in, and baby, I just really thought, listen, Phoenix Lior and Shelly Welly, they just went on in, so they were loving every minute of it. Speaking of, meet us on tomorrow night. It'll be the second time that the millennials come on at 9 o'clock p.m. Monday nights, their new time. So I want to invite you back for that. But yes, Bearded Baritone called in, and I tell you what, we had a lovely time. He blessed the house. He blessed the Lions Den, absolutely, positively. So tonight, you see, we're missing a few of our cohorts. Tyrone will be with us maybe a little bit later. But yes, Mother said, I heard him. Rebel, did you catch that? She said, I heard him.
Girl, look, I heard when he called in.
Uh-huh. You got ears to hear.
Right.
Oh, geez. I tell you what, we're missing Tyrone. He will be here a little bit later on, and Jabez is out with us, out for tonight. But listen, we're going to have just a little bit of chat. It's still February, and it's Black History Month. I'm going to ask some questions, and everybody's invited to join in. I'm not going to put anybody on the spot, but I am going to have some conversation here. I want to start with the first one, with the side eye, Rebel Inc. With the side eye. That's all I'm saying. So I love it, y'all. I love it. I'm gonna start with the just a little bit of history on a person here, and I want to talk a little bit about somebody whose mother's name is Louise Helen Norton Little. Anybody have any idea who I'm talking about?
Is it Malcolm X?
Malcolm X. Malcolm X. Malcolm X. Now, who can tell me what year was Malcolm born? Anybody? What year was Malcolm born? Brother Malcolm, what year was he born?
1920.
Was he that old? I didn't think he was that old.
How old do you think he is, Rhonda? You thought he was younger than that? Is he younger than that?
I thought he was one in maybe the 30,
In the
36,
30s?
37, 30.
Oh, you got him around with my dad. My dad was 36. My mom was 39, 1939. You think he's around that age? Listen, so let's see. Rebel said 1946. Put your years in there, y'all. Mel said 1946. Okay. What year was Malcolm X born? What year was Malcolm X? Thank you, 440 Shorty. Come on in the Lions Den. It's good to have you. Put some years in there, y'all. What year was Malcolm X born? What year was Malcolm X born? 1946. Okay, I see y'all. 1946 is winning. And the answer is 1925.
He was that old?
Yes, ma'am, he was. He was born May the 19th in 1925. Come on, BTD Mom. And you took my next question. Where was he born? And BTD Mom already answered it. He was born in Omaha, Nebraska. Now, if you ever go up there, I just want to say this, and this is how much respect we don't get in this country. We went to what was supposed to be the birthplace or the house where Malcolm X was born or lived or whatever, Rebel and I, and we went up there, and when I tell y'all that was the saddest experience of a historical scenario, I almost cried. Oh, you Googled it. I got you, BTD Mom. We got cheaters in the room. No, listen, as my nephew said, you can Google anything.
Right.
And I went, and I was a little bit disappointed. I ain't gonna say a little bit. It was just really, really sad that there was no historical quality. I'm gonna say quality preserving of this brother's life in Omaha, Nebraska. And I'm like, wow. Does anybody know how old he was? BTD Mom, stop Googling. Let's get some guesses in here. How old was he when he died? How old was he when he died? Let's get some guesses in the chat.
He died right after, he died in 64, 65.
I was gonna say
Uh,
40-ish.
Okay.
60, 65. He was born when? 26,
25.
25. So he was born in 65. So they're 40. So about 39, maybe. Somewhere.
I see 38. I see 38 from SK8843. Good evening to you. Rebel Inc. said 36. Come through, come through. Uh, Rhonda did some good math in her head. He was 39 when he died. He was, Mel said he was 45. BTD Mom said he died in 1968. No, he actually died in 1965. Royalty was on it. She was right on it. Royalty was on it. He actually died in 1965. So who died first, Malcolm or Martin?
Malcolm.
Yes, Malcolm.
Which guy died in 68, I believe. Who died in 68?
Okay, I'm gonna let the chat. Who died first, Martin or Malcolm? The chat's quiet. Chat is real quiet. Malcolm, I got a Malcolm. Rhonda's on it. He died in 68. Come through, girl. Now wait now. Where'd you get all this historical?
Good, because you know I do the Martin Luther King committee.
And Jonna, does any of this resonate with you at all? Do you have any point of reference?
I do. I don't have dates in my head, but I kind of got a real weak timeline.
Got you. So I'm gonna sit Rhonda out. Well, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. What city did
Girl, y'all know, everybody know that
Martin
one.
Luther King? I know. What city was Martin Luther King slain in?
Oh Lord.
Let's give the chat a chance, Rhonda. What city was Martin Luther King slain in? What city was
Is it
Martin?
Memphis?
Yeah, John.
The chat is completely quiet. Memphis, Tennessee. Does
Tennessee.
anybody know where he was killed? I know this because he was killed at some place where our church owns that property.
He was at the Lorraine Motel.
Yes.
The Lorraine Motel. The Lorraine Motel. So you're exactly right, BTD Mom. Memphis capital for the Church of God in Christ. Hey, Paul Pumps, come on in here. It's good to see you. That's correct. The Lorraine Hotel. And at the end of the day, where had he been the night before he was assassinated? What historical event took place the night before he was assassinated?
I have no idea. I was getting ready to make a real terrible comment, but I'm gonna keep that to myself.
I'm trying to think. Were you talking about the Birmingham? But I don't know. You talking about the night before?
The night before. I see BT Mama got it. He was at the National Temple at the Church of God in Christ giving a speech. And does anybody know what that speech was? BT, well, now I thought you had it. She come into my preaching at the church. He spoke. There you go, SK. He spoke at the Church of God in Christ headquarters. Does anybody remember what that speech was that he delivered the night before he was killed? Anybody in the chat? Anybody in the chat? What was the title of his speech the night before he was assassinated when he spoke at the historic Mason Temple Church of God in Christ in Memphis, Tennessee?
Oh.
You got it, Rhonda?
Yeah, because he spoke, I've been to the mountaintop.
I've been to the mountaintop. That was his speech. And even the I may not get there with you was almost prophetic. Now, do y'all feel like he really, you know how sometimes your spirit can kind of pick something up? In my opinion, I think your spirit can pick something up besides the fact he was getting death threats. But do you think that he actually had a sense that he was going to be killed? And this is just your opinion, and so let's talk about this a little bit, because I do feel like we can we are spiritual, and I think there's certain things that we know, and so it was like that speech that night before, which he really, there was a lot of hoopla around him delivering the speech because he really didn't want to go, he wasn't feeling well and so on and so forth, but they were pressing because they were like, the people want to hear you, Martin, the people want to hear you. And so he went ahead and spoke anyway, even though he wasn't feeling it, and that's the speech that he gave. And I want to hear you all's opinions about whether or not that spiritual part of us he had discerned and picked up that his time was ending. What do y'all think?
I think probably so. Just the logistics of who he was at the time, and like you said, the death threats that he was already receiving, and then the spiritual side of it. Some things we just know, and some of the tones in that speech kind of point that way. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if he knew.
Yeah. What do you think, Rhonda?
Because if we pay attention, hindsight, in a lot of cases, not just his, if we pay attention to hindsight, that happens a lot. Now, when they're speaking it, they not necessarily know, but they're speaking from their spirit, which knows all things.
Yes.
And so, and then later on, we be like, oh my God, he said this and he said that, and this is da da da. But yes, I do believe out of his spirit, he was speaking what was to happen, what was happening.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and it happens all the time if we pay
Yes.
attention to it.
Yes. I mean, when you talk about hindsight being 2020, I can even think of my mother who had been in a coma a few times before she actually passed away. And it was real dicey. And when she came out of the coma the last time before I brought her home, she told me who to call. It was like she came out of the coma and said, call this person, call that person. And it was literally like her last conversations with those individuals, but it was like, call and I want to talk. And I feel like there was something in hindsight that she knew that time was of the essence, and she wanted to make those connections specifically with those individuals. And so I do believe that we spiritually have some kind of unction that sometimes is operating, and you start, if you pay attention, like you said, Rhonda, a lot of times if you go back and reflect, there are just different things that are said, different things that are done. And Tyrone, it's good to see you this evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
And with that thought in mind, what do you feel about people being able to spiritually sense that their time is almost over? Or we don't just have to make it time over, but even just a matter of, as spiritual beings, being able to kind of sense things that are happening or impending things before they happen. How do you feel about that yourself?
And we're speaking of spiritually people feeling like their time is done, like their days are coming to an end.
Anything significant, but in this instance I'm talking about Martin, because he literally gave that speech the night before as if the man knew he was going to die the next day. I mean, if you look back and listen to that speech, and so many things that he said in that speech were almost prophetic, it's like, wow, it's really mind-boggling to me anyway. So yeah, go ahead, baby.
I do feel that when people are spiritually connected to whatever their spiritual realm is, they feel they know within themselves that significant things are about to happen in their lives. I remember being a kid. I had an Aunt May, and to me she was my grandmother. But it believe it or not, I didn't realize until this year that my Aunt May was not my grandmother, and she was actually my great aunt. But she was the closest thing to me because my mom was a foster kid. She was the closest thing to me to a grandmother, but we called her Aunt May.
Yes.
And I remember the night before she passed, because she was babysitting myself and my older brother Damien. My mom went to bingo, and the whole night she was saying, "I want to go home. I'm going home." And I remember being a kid saying, "Well, you can't go home. You got to get on the bus. But the whole night she was like, "I'm going home. I'm ready to go home. I want to go home." She had just had heart surgery. And that morning, I remember waking up and my brother Damien was in tears, and me not understanding why he was sad. And I remember my mom saying, "Aunt May passed." And as a kid, I said, "Was she in school?" Because me thinking passing was like she had taken a test or something. But that whole night, as I think about it, being as I've gotten older, like that whole night, she was like, "I'm going home. Like I'm
Mhm.
ready to go home." She spoke that the entire night.
Mhm.
So I feel when people, when you have that connection and people,
Yes.
that's yeah. Mhm.
Yes. Stacy said she was talking about heaven.
Mhm.
And I get that. And that's a very touching story. Very touching story. Thank you for sharing that. I personally feel like that we do have that spiritual connection, and a lot of times, if we shut out all the distractions and pay attention, it's clear. And I think when people are nearing very significant places in their life, a lot of clutter that was there before starts to fade away, and they
Yeah.
become very, very in tune with what's going on. And so I think that makes the clarity just that much louder. And so that's what I believe about that. So thank you guys for sharing on that thought. Now, between Malcolm and Martin, each of you be as honest with me as possible, and y'all in the chat be as honest as possible. Would you be a Malcolm follower or would you be a Martin follower? Malcolm or Martin?
For me, I would be Malcolm.
And why?
I felt like at that point when they both were being, pioneers in what their decision was, like to me, Malcolm was more of, we gonna make a change, and if they come down to we gotta shed a little blood, if they come down, we gotta slap some people in the face. That's what we gotta do. I appreciate Martin,
Mm-hmm.
and I appreciate the nonviolent, let's come together and pray. But we saw what it got us, and even to this day, we still gotta slap some people in the face. We still gotta rough some people up for them to get a true understanding that you can't do us over.
Uh-huh.
So for me, in my experience,
I respect it. It's full respect. I chuckled at the way you worded your comments. That's why I chuckled. But
Right.
I'm fully respecting your. I hear you. I love it. I love it.
I would be someone who would listen to Martin on the radio, but if I had to follow someone, it would be Malcolm for me.
Got you. The Rebel Ink said, So that means she's kind of, she can't give us an answer right there. Tall Pumps just came straight out and said X.
Period.
No question, just X. Capital X. X. Ain't no question about it. Teresa Jones, good evening, my sister. That's my 411 Connect. Teresa said she's a follower of Martin. I hear you. And Mel Holiday said, at this point in my life, I'm with
Mel.
Malcolm.
And we didn't expect nothing different.
Right, man.
Now look at this. I'm gonna get you two ladies. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I am righteous and ratchet.
See.
So I have Martin and Malcolm.
Okay. You're the hybrid. You got
I'm
a
the
little bit of both. Okay. And I'm gonna come back to why. BTD mom, I'm gonna come through. In the beginning, she said she would have been Martin, but in the end,
Right.
she's now Malcolm. So okay, I hear you. And BTD mom is on the low. So for her to make that conversion over to Malcolm, I'm like, woo, okay. But I think I hear enough is enough and too much is too much. Enough is enough and too much is too much. Stacy 546 said X. I'm always up for hitting someone.
Stacy, right?
This is from my blue sister. Yes, she's a retiree of the blue. So come through, Stacy. Okay, John, or actually Rhonda, I want to go ahead and ask you. I got you as the hybrid, a little bit of Malcolm, a little bit of Martin. Tell us why. What's your
Because
rationale?
I will start out and I will attempt to do Martin, and I will do the best I can. But once you cross that line, I told you I have run out of cheeks. I'm not turning no more cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be Martin up to a point. Then after that, I got to go Malcolm.
Okay.
I have to go Malcolm on them.
Okay. Ooh, come through, royalty. Okay, Jonna, Martin or Malcolm?
There's no way I could pick, but if I'm gonna present as Martin, and if my requests are not met, I'm going to slowly well, not so slowly, transition into early Malcolm, not the one at the end. Early Malcolm, where
Mm-hmm.
you know, go big or go home, burn all this shit up, tear it,
Yeah.
all of that.
By
Because
any means
enough is enough.
necessary.
But what was
Any
Malcolm? What was
means.
Malcolm at the end?
Well, he kind of, for me, he was kind of turning into more of a where he was willing to listen
Right.
to both a little more than because at the beginning he didn't, don't look, don't talk, don't do anything. You can't help me. Go somewhere and sit down. And at the end, he was more open to um, working with. I'm not working with. Either you do it or you don't, and we can fight or not. So Martin and then early Malcolm. I'm gonna have to be both.
Okay. 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 I got you. BTD mom said Martin was kind of pressured into his position, but Malcolm started the same as Martin, but he studied for himself and he had a true revelation. Come through.
Yeah, he did.
Come through. Come through. Stacy says she's with Royal Confessions. Okay. I got you on that.
I
got-
mean, for me, it would be straight Malcolm. There's no. I mean, we appreciate Martin. We appreciate him. Thank you. He's in the books. Yeah, it would be straight Malcolm for me.
So, as Jonna said, Malcolm was making a 360 at the end of his lifetime. So he had truly, truly changed from the Malcolm that is the chickens came home to roost.
Correct, but that came with pressure, and it was the same pressure that I feel that Martin had from the beginning.
Can you elaborate?
That was pressure put on Malcolm to get to a point that he needed to start working with the powers that be.
Ladies, your opinions. I'm gonna let you all respond to that.
I wouldn't say it was necessarily pressure. I know he had a internal journey as well as like in the note in chat say to Mecca, and then some revelation about the folks around him, which will make you take a good look at your stance. So I don't necessarily agree that it was pressure to change.
And the Rebel Inc. said it came from his journey to Mecca. And he does give a lot of credit to how he was really converted when he went to Mecca. And that was a tremendous eye-opening experience for him that came and put him on a different trajectory. Anita's BTD mom said Martin came through the church, but Malcolm knew them streets.
And that's what worked.
See,
What has the church done for us lately?
I hear you. I hear you. He said, "What has the church done for us?" I hear you. Rebel Inc. said it was a spiritual journey that Malcolm went through. So I hear that. Good evening, Crazy Berry Town. She is a streamer, and this is my friend. I love you so much. Come on in the room. I love you. I love you. I love you. If you're not following Crazy Berry Town, please follow her. She'll bless your whole life. So Rebel said neither really worked though, for real. Neither. She said. I mean that's a position. Do you think either one of the positions has? Even if we take now, I started to throw the Black Panthers in there, but I really don't, because the Black Panthers really
that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, they jacked them up. They really jacked them up, and they may have been very successful.
But did they jack him up?
No. I'm saying the Black Panthers. The country of the United States of America put out false propaganda and everything else against them. I'm saying, had they been left alone and allowed to complete the programs that they had put in place, which is where the government came with their food program and so many of the programs that the Black Panthers were doing, they didn't get credit for it. And then not only did they not get credit for it, they got lied on. They really could have sang, "I've been lied on, cheated, talked about, mistreated, Buke scorn, talked about Sergi Bone," because they surely did that to the Black Panthers. Not only did they not get credit, but then the country turned around and copied some of the programs that they had in place. So the Black Panthers, had they been left alone, may have really had a very wide-reaching impact, but we'll never know because they got infiltrated.
And that's what I hate so much, especially, like I said, the Black Panthers, when you brought it up, I was like, that's a whole nother story, especially for me. Like they did such amazing things for our community.
They did.
I mean, they've created so many great programs that impacted our communities and could have honestly impacted the world had they been, like you said, left alone.
Yeah.
But that's not the story that's put out about them.
No.
I remember growing up when we talked about the Black Panthers, it was like they were like you didn't want to be bothered with them.
Oh yeah.
They were gonna gut you from ear to ear and lay you out like a cow in a pasture.
And
And
that
then to get older and read about them and
Mhm.
read about the great things that they did, it's like that was an honor to be a part of that organization before it got into the government corrupting them and putting these stories out and these narratives about them. It's a sad story
It
because
really is.
most of our great history, I mean, we have to give a part of it to the Black Panthers for the amazing things that they did.
They did some amazing things. If
Hmm.
you grew up and you heard bad and negative things about the Black Panthers, put a one in the chat. Because it wasn't just the government, but Black people also had nothing positive to say about the Black Panthers because they were talking the same propaganda that was being put out there in the media. And y'all know media has power, whether we want to acknowledge it or
That's what
not.
they do.
Go ahead, Rhonda. Yes, yes, please.
Yeah. I'm just agreeing with what you said. Yeah, media, and that's what they do, and they still do it today. If they can
Still.
get that out there and get it into people's head, the negative of anybody, then they won their case. So they think so they still play that game today.
Yes, yes, because I was raised in a predominantly white system of schools, but it wasn't just that I heard negativity about the Black Panthers from the system of schools I was in. I heard negativity from the Black people that were in my life. Nobody in my environment had anything positive to say about the Black Panthers other than that they were radical, out of control, and almost like they need to be put down. So I mean, it was just that extreme. What did you experience in your understanding of the Black Panthers, Jana?
It was pretty much the same. Now there was a lot of negativity, but I had some family members who were all for it. So I kind of got both sides of it. My father was certainly his stance on it was he understood what they were trying to do, but we need more
Mm.
people. They're going to be the government's never going to let that go, which
Mhm.
you know. So I heard a lot of that, but I definitely got some of the negatives as well.
Got you. Got you.
So, would any of you guys, if the Black Panthers were a thing now, would any of you join the parties?
I would. I would. I would. I mean, at the core of it, if you actually get into the study of what they stood for, it was a very positive organization. It was a very positive organization. And I feel sad that they got such a bad rap from the media and from the speaking heads, the talking heads in the country that made them sound like animals, made them sound like, I mean, these people were like told and talked about as if they were the lowest of the low. And if you leave it to them, the whole world is going to be destroyed in 10 seconds or less. Because listen, Diablo sent them. Diablo sent him and his brother Beelzebub. That's where they came from. So, it's just there was no good thing that was put out there about the Black Panthers. But when I was able to actually pull away and do a study and then start looking at resources about the Black Panthers, I would absolutely positively support their endeavor because that was good stuff. It was good stuff.
Hmm. It reminds me of when we talk about the Black Panthers and we talk about many people that we acknowledge especially during this time frame. Monique, the actress, comedian, she just did an interview on Fox Soul with T.S. Madison. And she's talking about her experience that she went through being blackballed and this, that, and the other.
Yes.
And she talks about how people who stand out, especially us, who stand out, or go against the grain,
Mhm.
it's not until time has passed, or they're dead, or
Mhm.
they're gone, and their organizations are done, or that person has died, that we actually acknowledge that, what they did in that time frame was needed.
Yes. Yes.
And in this conversation, we're talking about the Black Panthers, and we're like, I would have done, or all the great they did, and I just think of, in that time, if they would have had this same support, they could possibly still be around, and maybe our lives would be a little different than they are today.
Listen, SK8843 said, had the Black Panthers been on patrol when George Floyd was lynched? I'm just saying.
Hmm.
Uh,
Just saying.
I'm just saying. And they believed in self-determination. Tall Pump said you would, and growing up, you got mixed information about the Black Panthers, but you would be a part of them today. I would boldly and gladly be a part of understanding what they're fully about. And this is the thing sometimes, and I'm going to say this, even to our Black community, we regurgitated and repeated the propaganda that was put out there just as much as anybody else did.
Mhm.
So it's like sometimes we need to pump the brakes, cool our jets, and get full information before we jump on a bandwagon and start pushing against something if you don't have all the facts and the details. And when somebody else is giving you somebody else's narrative, good evening, DJ Stacy Blessed One, come on in here, good to see you. When somebody else, and she is a streamer, please follow her. When somebody else tells your narrative, more times than not, it's not going to get told right. And it's not going to get told righteously. What do y'all feel? That's my opinion. So you all may or may not agree with that, but that's my opinion.
Oh, that's 100% true. My biggest motto is no one can defend me like I can defend myself.
Come through.
And the love can be there, but no one's going to tell my story like me. Because I lived it.
That's it.
That's it.
Rhonda, Jonna, the idea of us telling our own story. And I think these are some places where we've got to take our narratives back and tell our own stories. Come on, SK8843 said, get your information from the source. And I think a lot of times that does not happen. We heard from a friend that heard from a friend and heard from a friend or whatever, but getting it from the source is still an issue in many ways in the community. Rhonda, John, I don't want to cut either of you off from conversation.
Okay, I'll talk while she calls. Well, going back to what I said previously about the media and putting that negativity out there first, because that's the first thing they do. They want to get that out there before you can get your own story out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has played down through the years, and it continues to play down. Now, I know the Black Lives Movement did a lot of shooting themselves in their feet, but the initial their initial reason of starting it was a good reason.
Absolutely.
But the media came out and tried to make them think to say that they were a hate group. And then we continue to talk about them also, about what we heard and not know. Then we had other people to jump in there and do some things that were not right, taking money and blah, 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 blah. But their initial reasoning from starting was something good.
Mm-hmm.
But once they jump out there and try to beat us, and with the negativity to keep us from telling our own story.
Mm-hmm.
And so somehow we're going to have to just scratch and fight and pull eyeballs out to get our story out there. And at the same time, we're going to have to come together and stop putting it down until we know the true story.
Yes. 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 Jonna.
I agree 100%. This is why I would love to see us own our own media, our own network, because it's not enough to be a newscast, because that's still somebody else's narrative. You need your own everything. How about that? We need our own everything so we can get the stories out in our own words, from our own perspectives, from our own experiences, and not have to go through that filter of this is what I want you to say, this is what I want the people to hear, and let's add something in here and take that out, which is what happened with the Panthers.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree. BTD mom said the church what hearsay wasn't helpful either because they mostly talked and preached Martin. And I will say, I feel like there was a lot of twisted perspective that was put into the community about Malcolm as well. And so, bless his heart, he had his own organization talking about him. He had everybody was talking about Malcolm. Malcolm was a black genius, y'all. That man was a genius. So was Martin, but Malcolm was a black genius.
So
And
is Kanye.
It got quiet.
It got
mouse-
real
A
quiet.
mouse peeing on the rug.
He's a brother. Are we not gonna support?
I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word.
Okay, just checking.
Can't say a word. Just
Just
raise your
checking.
hand.
I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word. John, Rhonda, you know,
I
like I
have
said, go
no
ahead.
comment.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Tall Pump said crickets. Could it be? Oh my goodness.
But I'm
So-
praying for him.
And that's all we ask for.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? Kanye is a genius. He is. He is. And he has parlayed a lot. He has used the media. He has used music. He has used a lot of different things in ways that we've never seen before. He's innovative, and I don't think you can take that away from him. He comes up with means and ideas and methods that we haven't seen before. And at the end of the day, he gets recognition. And so you know, all the rest of it I'm not gonna I don't have a lot to say about, but I do say that he has definitely been an innovator in our time, for sure. And I'm always giving props for George Bush doesn't like black people.
That was good.
That moment was
True.
sweet. That
And,
moment
you know,
was
it
tasty.
is what it is.
And we have to realize a lot of stuff that we don't understand, we'd always tempt to label. So sometimes we need to just be quiet and see what's really happening instead of trying to label them, because you know that's what we're doing now. A lot of people saying he's crazy. Well, is he?
This
Is
may be a
it?
part of his plan. It could be a part of his design, his what he's trying to do. And sometimes people that think outside the box will take an extreme step that nobody else would be willing to take. They wouldn't dare to take it, and they know what their end game is when they start it, but it may look absolutely insane to the people that are watching. And you know, so you didn't hear me say anything. I'm gonna still say I have to give him props because he's an innovator. And at the end of the day, there was no tastier nugget. He dropped that nugget out there on Katrina when he was like, and George Bush doesn't like black people. All day long, I had to. Why are you cracking, Jonna? Why are you cracking?
I remember that day, that
When
time, and how everybody was like, but it is what it is. He told the truth, and even his energy when he said it tickled me. I was like, oh shit. But
And when he
it is
talked
what
about
it is.
that girl winning that award, he
Yeah.
told the truth.
But it's in situations like that, we support it when it benefits us. He said George Bush doesn't like black people, and black people say, "You're right." He told Taylor Swift she didn't deserve that award. Beyonce should have got it. You're right. But then he does something that we as black people think is odd, and we say he's crazy.
No, I didn't say that.
No, I'm not saying anybody here said that, but I'm just saying
Mm-hmm.
I did what everybody's saying there. It just made me think like, you know, we supported it when it benefited us.
You know, and unfortunately, that tends to be the case. And I'll say that with regard to, let's say, reparations. I know people that are just adamantly opposed to reparations for black people. And at the end of the day, I look at them and I say, and when reparations come through, you sit your tail down and don't take a dime.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Here we go.
Don't take a dime. You
Take a
know,
dime.
you that much against it, and you not out here hustling and pushing for it. When the money comes and the checks in the mail, you send yours back. That's all I got to say about that.
That's
Send it to me.
my
Don't
that's my
send it
stance on
back.
it.
Send it to me.
So there is that where people, I mean, I can remember when there was, even with Martin, there were people, conservative blacks that felt like what he was doing was too radical with the protesting. And I remember conversations in middle class black America where there was sentiment against Martin and what he was doing, because they felt like we should just take it and be good niggers and be okay with that, you know? And so at the same time, when his marching and protesting and the using of the children to help push his agenda and whatnot began in the civil rights, and I'm saying his, but it's the whole movement. It wasn't just Martin. But when the movement began to make inroads on racism, everybody wanted to take it. Wasn't nobody saying, "Oh, let me get to the back of the bus." But those same people that came out and that were arguing and having an expressed sentiment, oh, they doing too much. They need to sit down. They gonna get all of us killed. Next thing you know, this and that and the other's gonna happen. And it's just not a good look. It's just not da 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 da. And I mean, I heard that amongst people that I know in middle class black America against Martin. So, and then you just couldn't even bring up Malcolm because Malcolm was just way too radical. So we have the moderates in the community that really will be that we gonna sit back, we ain't gonna say nothing, or we're not gonna do anything to help the cause, and we're gonna say everything we can because we want peace. We want peace. We listen. We law and order just like y'all law and order. We everything y'all want. We want that too, knowing full well we continuously are being oppressed and violated. But that mindset is don't rock the boat and just let it happen organically or naturally or by some act of God that just a lightning bolt comes down out of the sky and they do nothing. But when the benefits come, they right there on the benefit wagon. I see you shaking your head, Jonna.
It's the truth. It's the truth. Because just like you said, should anything come, I can't see anybody denying it. But for whatever reason, there's always that certain set of people who don't want to buck the system. It's like, let's just take whatever they give us and be okay with it. And, you know, we're not, well, I was going to say we're not being lynched, but are we still?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. So, but it's not, you know, the Klan's not marching the street, but they still kind of are. And we don't want to say, you know, okay, we've made some improvement, but it's still jacked up. It's still, let's just back up and take what we've got and be happy with it. And no, absolutely not.
Okay, so let me pull this back, and I want to appreciate Michelle Brown, who I call my quiet storm, for sending this to me. And let me see if I can find the name of it. So when you say that, and you said they're not lynching us, but they are. So I want to address this because I watched this movie that Michelle sent to me, and it was very telling. And there's really something that we need to wake up to, because they are the school to prison pipeline is real, even though we don't want to deal with it. So at the end of the day, the SRO, the police officers that are policing in the school system, that is the fastest growing area of law enforcement, in case you didn't know. Policing in school, and these kids are literally being arrested. So go back to remembering, y'all remember the story of the black girl and she was snatched out and body slammed by the SRO officer, and they ended up taking her to jail, and it's a horrendous story. So go back, listen. The name of it is On These Grounds. It's on Stars. It's On These Grounds. Watch that video, and it is really pulling back the covers on the policing system. And where before, we're not talking about kids being sent home from school. The police have the ability now to charge these children as criminals. And when they get charged, and even in that instance, if you go and look at the girl who had she was special needs, let's address that, and she had special needs. She asked, to kind of put this in a quick perspective, she asked because by law they have to give those special students instructors that help them with their work. She asked for her helper, and the teacher refused her. And so when he refused her, she said, "But I don't understand it." He said, "Take the test anyway." She was like, "But I don't understand and I need help," which by law, that's a contract. They have to provide those students help. So
They have IEPs.
and she was violated. She was
Mhm.
straight up violated. So that escalates to the police, to the school calling the vice principal. The vice principal comes in, and when the girl wouldn't leave, then he calls the police officer, and therein is the ensuing where we watched that video that went viral of her being bodied, and the girl was not resisting. The girl was not resisting. She was just saying, there's no reason for me to be put out of this class. All I did was ask for my helper and he refused me. And why am I being put out? So at the end of the day, she gets body slammed. And unfortunately, somewhere along the line, she does become suicidal, but thank God she makes it through that area. So I'm saying this because I'm talking about understand the impact that all this is having on our children. And then the young lady that stood up in class and was like, "You shouldn't be handling her like that." Then after they manhandled the girl that we saw the viral video, they came back and arrested her. He said, "You got so much to say, I'm gonna deal with you now."
Damn.
So now we've got 2 children that are in the system and arrested as criminals. So this whole system, come on, Stacey, what the fork is wrong with these people? So, and this is what I'm saying, because we need to wake up, y'all. So listen, I'm waking the lions. I want y'all to understand this new policing system. They're not going in the street and getting our kids. They're coming into school and getting your kids. They're coming into school and getting your kids, and they're leaving school with a record from the SRO officer. Then this is the kicker to that. And so I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to jump back and let y'all talk. This is the kicker to that. So the police officer that's body slammed her, at the end of the day, he ended up getting dismissed only because there was so much pressure from Black Lives Matter and other groups that this man has no business in the school system. So they release him. At the end of the video, guess what? He's been hired at the national level in an organization where he trains the SRO officers. If that ain't a bunch of something.
Unbelievable.
So
That's crazy.
I didn't make this up, and it's all documented. It's called On These Grounds. It's on Stars. I watched that video, and by the time I was done, my blood pressure was up 500 degrees. But what I did see, and I was so glad that Michelle sent this to me, what I did see is that they've taken the attempt underground and what they were doing out in the street. And as we're having so much, and this is the other thing, because they kept telling the students, and this was the crazy thing that I listened to on this. They kept telling the students, "You're in school, you shouldn't have your phones out," for the students that were videoing this unjust behavior. And this is, I can't make this stuff up. This is real. On These Grounds, on Stars. Go out there and watch it.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Please do. Please do. It's very enlightening and very revealing. And when they start giving the statistics and everything else. So when you talk about the pipeline to prison system that is in place, now if they're not getting them on the streets, they have come inside the school system and they're getting our kids and sending them straight to school. They're sending them straight to jail. I'm sorry. So at the end of the day, just from what happened to the day that you get a suspension, you get expelled or whatever the case may be. No, not now. Now you're a criminal. And the other thing that they're pointing out is that the majority of all of the kids that are going are almost predominantly all Black children.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, I mean that's what's reported, but it's factual. I even look at my industry. We always hear the statistics that majority of the kids that come into care are minorities. I can tell you, I can't in my region, and I'm in Denton County, so that's a big part of the Dallas, Texas area. That's not true, but that's what's reported.
And Tall Pump said probably most black boys. I'm saying that because are we ignorant to the fact that they have now gone to this SRO system where they're policing in schools? And I literally have heard stories of where the police officers are literally manhandling these kids like they're criminals out on the street. Are you all aware that the policing system has gone into the school and it is the fastest growing law enforcement element in law enforcement?
The growing part I didn't know, but even when I was in high school, I believe that's like my senior year is when we started to see police like actually in the school.
And these are police; they're not security officers.
These were police. Yeah,
police.
that's when we started getting like metal detectors, and we had full on. I mean, police officers in the school. So this was 99, 2000, and they weren't there for the DARE program, but
and I feel you on that. Yes.
But yeah,
yes.
we start. I didn't know that was the fastest growing, occupation for police officers, but we started to see them then. And I mean, I grew up in a predominantly black high school, and we would see students being arrested for acting out, coming to school,
yes.
and yeah.
This is full-blown arrest. This
full on arrest. Yeah.
Detention. This is full-on arrest. When they call those officers to the room, those kids are arrested. They are booked in, the whole process, the whole 9 yards. And the woman who came from Black Lives Matter, and I don't want to be a spoiler, but there's if you go out and watch the video, watch the documentary, it's an excellent bird's eye view of what happened. But what I do want to say is that she did start an organization for all the children that have been abused by SRO officers, and the numbers are not small. Now, can you imagine sending your child to school and your child gets beat up by an SRO officer in the school system? We ain't on the streets now. We in the school.
I was gonna say, Jonna, do they have police officers in your kids' schools?
They have them outside of the school during drop off and dismissal. In the school, I've seen them there a lot for the DARE program. But we haven't got to high school yet. Middle school, you don't hear, we can't walk around, and you have to have a reason to be in the building. I don't know for sure. I don't know if they're in the school actually all day. I know they're outside of the school, again, before and after, but I don't know if they're in the building middle school all day. And I have seen them, again, elementary in the building, but I don't know what their actual purpose is other than security. I haven't seen them running in and out of classrooms and such. Mm-hmm. But, I don't know, because, they can always say they're there for one reason. Now, we have had one issue with that over the years, not my family personally, but a family that we know. And they can say they're there for one reason and still be involved. So I can't say for sure.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised, though. Not at all.
And in that same school system, watch the video. In the same school system, they had another SRO officer. And I do remember this story as well, because I reported on it. And I didn't realize it was out of the same school. Is the story of the SRO officer that sexually molested one of the students and was arrested. Do y'all remember that story? I talked about it. But yeah, and I didn't realize it was the same daggum school system, which is the same place where Dylan went in and shot up all the people, the 9 people at the church. Says this whole system is jacked. This city, this little town, these schools, this one location, all of these things happening in this one space in this one time. So, at the end of the day, and so they even challenged when they interviewed the police officer that body slammed the girl, they asked him, well, how do you feel about going to get Dylan, taking him to Burger King? He said, we take food to prisoners all the time. That was nothing out of the ordinary. After killing 9 black people in the church at a prayer meeting. Same police system. Rhonda, you ain't said nothing. What are you thinking?
Because you done told the whole story. I don't even want to go watch it now. No, I'm aware of the police being in the schools. And one main reason I'm aware is because our former sheriff retired from being a sheriff and went and took over the head position over the school police. So they have an entire department
They said it's
at,
the fastest
at
growing segment of law
yeah,
enforcement.
at our high school. There is a whole department with officers for the school.
Are kids that bad these days?
This
I,
girl that he body slammed did nothing. The only thing was that she refused to leave the class because she said, but I didn't do anything wrong. And so I done told too much of the story. I'm so sorry. Spoiler. But there's so much more.
yeah.
I really haven't even scratched the surface because I want to say it's a 2-hour at least documentary. So there's so much more that I have not told. It's horrible. But at the end of the day, there was no reason and she was still passive even while the man was manhandling her.
That doesn't surprise me. Nothing you said surprised me. That's why I'm just sitting here. But
My,
it is the fastest growing, and they have an entire department. They have an entire budget for this department at the
but
school.
my question is, what's changed? I mean, I guess myself and John were the youngest ones to graduate high school on but like, what's changed to this point now where we need full police units in our high schools? Like, I didn't grow up with police. We had security, and maybe there was one or two fights throughout the year, and security had to step in. But like, what do we think has changed over the years where we need full police? Are parents getting younger?
No. Do you not believe that there's a school? Okay, let's go here. Put it in the chat. Do you believe, one, if you believe, two, if you don't believe, that there is a school to prison pipeline? Do you believe, or do you think that's just a conspiracy theory that people are putting out there? Do you believe that there is a school to prison pipeline? Put a one if you believe it, put a two if you don't. And and then I'm gonna let the other ladies answer too. It's a part of the pipeline to the prison system. Because at this point, we're not giving suspensions. This girl didn't have any record. This girl didn't have any record. She had no history. As a matter of fact, the girl that stood up and spoke up for her said she's quiet. She never says anything. She does have special needs. She said she's quiet. She never says anything. So when she said to the SRO officer, there's no reason for you to handle her like that. She's not that kind of person. And then he's going to come back to make an example out of her. You had so much to say. Now I'm going to deal with you, and arrested her too. And it took these kids years to get this off of their record. They had to fight to get these criminal records because one couldn't get her instructor as she asked, and the other one said to the SRO officer, she's not that kind of person. You don't have to handle her like that. And she's the one that told people to take their cameras out and record. So he really wanted her tail. As people said when they looked at it, well, the children had no business having phones out in school anyway. She was wrong for that.
But when we talk about the school to prison pipeline, so my question is, what do we feel has changed where we're seeing a big shift in that? Because most of us have gone through high school, through the years, and we didn't see that huge enforce or that influx of law enforcement in our schools. So what do we feel has changed now where now there's just big shift of law enforcement in our schools to, continue that school to prison pipeline?
I don't think that there's necessarily been a shift or a change. I think that that's always been there. It's just how it goes about now is different. For me personally, when I didn't go to public school until I was maybe in the 5th grade or so, and there was a drastic difference. And you get kids in what they call special classes, and it's almost as if they're groomed for behavioral problems,
Mm-hmm.
and it stays with them throughout their whole from fifth grade on, you're graduating and you've had all these problems, and it's almost like a case was built on their behalf to help them not succeed. And so I don't think that it's a change now. I think the way they do it is different. Now just put the police in the school and let them help build that case. We didn't have, and Rebel might help me with this. We came out of the same district. We had security, but I can't remember actual police running the building. We had maybe one or two, and they did nothing but break up the occasional fight. But I can't
Right.
remember actual police running the building.
Yeah, same
If the
here.
police were at the school, then they were coming to get somebody who had done something outside of
Egregious.
school hours.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
those who had issues, even when we were in elementary, it just stayed with them. And by the time we got to high school, they were really carrying on because they really weren't getting what they needed. It was almost, like I said, a help them stay in that same spot, and they just didn't get what they needed. And of course, that's frustrating, and then you're gonna act out, and then you're gonna have all these problems, and it's just the whole thing needs to a reform. The whole
Yeah.
So
thing.
does it come down to a police issue or educational issue? Because
Well,
have we labeled these kids when they're young, and this label has, and I deal with that every day, trust me,
mhm.
where these kids have been labeled as one thing, and that's carried on with them, and then due to their label, they're exposed to police and what comes along with those labels we put on them as educators.
I
I
think
was.
so.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I think so. I think adequate training, because a
Mhm.
lot of people have, teaching degrees, but you don't have behavioral health. You don't
Correct.
have that specialization in that particular field to help children who need extra. And it's
Mhm.
not that they're not capable. It's not that they can't do the work. Sometimes they just have a different way to the same ending, and somebody needs to be trained in that. And that is a huge area. I have an issue now and with one of my kids in elementary school. And they keep sitting special needs kids with her so she can help. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Somebody else has, because the teacher can't teach the class and deal with this kid who's yelling out of turn, and just what we call misbehaving. But the kid needs extra, and it's not available. And so they have to go through all these different channels to keep some kind of order in the class, because they're not getting what they need because it's not there to give them. And that is a huge problem in some inner city schools where there's a lot of need, and it's just not available for the kids who need it.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And I want you all to watch let me give it again, because I did tell the framework of it, but there's so much minutia here that I didn't tell that's significant. My heart still goes out to the young lady when you talk about the special needs. And this is what I will say. And again, I'm gonna try not, at the end of the day, she struggled and struggled and struggled and struggled until she was successful. The special needs child. My heart, I mean, and so, but I do want us to see it from the standpoint of the level of struggle that we created unnecessarily for this child that already had needs.
Yeah.
Well, we have, like I said earlier, the police department within the school system, but I'm not aware of them doing any of the things that's happened on this movie, the documentary that you've watched. And I'm thinking right now, let me say yet, because you just never know what's been undercover that we don't know anything about yet. But we have them there, and right now they're taking some of the load from the local police to where they're handling it instead of calling out the police department if there are some issues. But so far, we haven't had any issues to where they've actually have to just come and just arrest someone from whatever reason or anything like
Yeah.
that yet.
Yeah. And see, this was in South Carolina. So they had a law that was on the books that was really about something totally different. That's why I said I'm and I don't want to tell too much, but all of this is in there. But there was a law on the books that they twisted and perverted until they got it twisted and perverted around so that now they can arrest these kids and make them criminals. So I have no reason to believe that other police departments are not following suit, and everybody's positioning themselves right now within these various municipalities to really model this pattern that has been put in place down here in these southern schools. And these southern schools they're making these kids straight up criminals. When they take those kids out, they could not have arrested. And this is the thing that made me so sad and so mad. And that girl, oh my God, my heart still goes out when I think about it. She's so courageous, even though she doesn't know that she is, and she doesn't feel good about herself. But you know what? At the end of the day, we did that to her. I'm saying we as a country, we did that to her. So at the end of the day, I'm looking at something like that and saying, she would never have been arrested for anything on the street because she's not that kind of child. But in this system that they have created, they can arrest her and put her in jail. Somebody that otherwise, this black child, there's no reason on the street she would have been arrested. And there's really no reason in the school she should have been arrested either. But that's the system that they've set up in the pipeline. And then to arrest the girl that stood up and said something to the officer because you got so much to say, I'm gonna deal with you next. That's come on now.
And like you said, that's the system that we all have to take responsibility on, that we've created. I see kids that come into care 17 years old and they're already felons for simple things of they ran away from home. They fought a foster parent. In the system that we've created, and we all have responsibility whether you vote or not, like it's set up. These kids, these laws now, these kids become 18 years old felons and their lives are done.
And these were high school kids and not even seniors, but they were thrown when they were arrested. They were booked in and put with grown adults.
Right. Expected to navigate a system on their own.
I mean, this is devastating.
Yeah.
This is devastating. And I feel like we need to pay attention. Tall Pump said they now have academic IEP and behavioral IEPs. SK said they documented by both conservative and liberal research groups. Come on, Tyrone, nothing has changed. It's just easier for them to have a cop there to have to dispatch a cop to the school. That's Stacy 546, and she is retired blue. It's about money. Come through. Prisoners mean low cost labors, and they're getting our kids. If y'all not getting that message loud and clear from what I'm saying tonight, they're getting our kids. They're getting our kids. At this point, it ain't even a matter of they out on the street with some other unsavory young people they shouldn't be with. They're taking people that need IEP and attention from an instructor, and you say, I'm not going to get up out of my chair and be put out of class and put in detention because I didn't do anything wrong. And the next thing you know, your body slammed, you're viral all across the country. And at the end of the day, you're more damaged now than you were before, because you were trying to follow the rules that are supposed to be the rules that they were breaking.
And the thing, let's keep in mind that when you say they're getting our kids, they're getting black kids, they're getting minorities. You can we can pull many cases of white kids who raped somebody, laid up, drunk in a car, killed multiple people in a car, and they walk away with no scars to their name. But you pull a minority kid who got into a fight in the cafeteria at school, a minority kid that fought their mom or dad, and they're done. It's a total setup.
Yeah, last week our governor allocated additional money to build more prisons.
Well, now I told you, and I don't have to talk about what I heard. I was in the meeting with the mayor and the other people when we had the whole entire discussion about using the scores of third graders to determine how many jail cells they're going to build. And I'm talking about, that ain't no hearsay. I was in that meeting.
Damn.
Third
The
grade
scores of third graders.
third grade scores to determine how many jail cells they're going to build. I was in that meeting. I'm not talking no hearsay.
And what was the outcome of that meeting?
What do you mean? What was the outcome?
I mean,
they're using
y'all
that
went through
data.
and
They're using that data to determine how many cells, how much of a structure increase they need for the prison system, anticipating that these kids are coming out of the system and going straight to jail. But when you start apprehending them while they're still in school, before they even get on the street, they haven't even been offenders yet.
and that's the sad part. Like, and I feel there's a shift because I didn't feel like I worried about that as a kid when I was growing up. For me, and I grew up in the hood and all that, inner city. But like now, like these kids have a target on their back.
They do. They do. They do. And so at the point in time, and when you bring up foster care, this individual, okay, so there's a whole lot of dynamics that's all mixed up in here, in and out.
You gonna tell the movie?
I'm trying not to.
Okay, let's move back to Black history.
Huh.
She gonna tell the movie.
Well, at the end of the day, we're talking about from 2015 to the current time. So I went back 5 years, 6 years.
Okay.
But no, Black history, when you start talking about the elements of, okay, let's go back to the Black Panther Party, all of the different things that we've seen trying to come in. And my last question, are we talking Martin or are we talking Malcolm? And even in that, at the end of the day, it's going to be Black history right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Black history right now.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's quiet. One reason said they've been doing that for decades. Third is a testing grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing it for decades. So, at the end of the day, this is an element of when you move forward and begin to say, what are we going to do to make the changes? And we can look back to Malcolm, we can look back to Martin, but at the end of the day, this is where we are today. And there's a bridge between then and now, and that bridge is connecting and it's manifesting. So my thing is, okay, if folks ain't aware that this is going on in the school system and that we have a new system of slavery that's being instilled, it's just going underground and coming another way. It's the same thing. They're enslaving us and our babies.
They are.
That's Black history. And there you have it.
Girl, get your shovel and dig it up.
That's what you got to. But I have a question though.
Yes.
So this is totally left field,
Come on with it.
but it's related to Malcolm and Martin. Well, more Martin because we praise Martin.
I praise Malcolm.
Well, I say that because like when you think of like we were talking to schools and when we think of Black history, people typically talk about Martin and Rosa and Harriet, and so that's why I say we praise them. But we praise them all. We love them for all they do. But my question is, if we took Martin, and I want us to think about cancel culture, because we deal with it a lot in modern day. When we talk about a person and then their past come up and then we say we're not going to deal with them no more, we're not going to play their music, we're not going to watch their movies, they had a past and we just can't get over it. Would we do the same for Martin today? Because Martin slept around on Coretta quite often, and Martin had a past. So would we cancel Martin in this day and time?
But I thought the cancel was more culture was more your age group people.
And that's what I'm saying. In this day and time, and it's not so much my age group. We all have when we look at a Bill Cosby or R. Kelly, every age group has an opinion on that. So when we cancel R. Kelly or we
I didn't
cancel Bill
cancel R.
Cosby,
Kelly.
are you? And I'm just saying. I'm asking.
I
So
love me some R. Kelly and his
me
music.
too. That's a virtual high five. But I'm asking. You know, we tend to cancel people in this day and time. Do you think we would have canceled Martin if he was still around? His past came up outside of all the great things he did.
I can't speak for everybody, but I wouldn't have canceled him because he's, a phenomenal leader and a excellent speaker and so forth, but he's still a man.
She
So
said
so
it.
so 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 so,
I did not mean that as in gender. I meant that as in take what
I totally respect. So the same. Okay, so we got one saying, he's a great leader, phenomenal speaker. He's still a man. Okay, so my other friends, this man has cheated on his wife with a white woman.
Oh, I didn't know the women were white.
They
They're
weren't
all
black.
Who we talking about?
Martin.
Oh, okay.
I researched it on my phone, so if y'all saw me looking over to the side, though, because I need my facts.
Good.
Keep
Martin
y'all-
laid pipe with the white women.
Martin laid it low and spread it wide.
See, and that's what I was gonna say earlier when you said what was he doing the night before he got shot. I was like,
Allegedly. These are all alleged.
Thank you.
These are all alleged details. Allegedly. Allegedly.
It happened.
Allegedly. You got witnesses testifying.
Yep.
he isn't the first and he won't be the last. What he does, that's him and Coretta's business.
Okay.
Tall pumps, why we as a culture, why do we worry about who's sleeping with who?
It's only a question for me because I'm asking because this is such a big thing now where we cancel people due to things they've done in their past. So I'm saying that it's just a question. I don't care who he slept with, but I just want to know, would it be the same if he was still here today? Would we cancel him and these women came forward saying, I had affairs with Martin Luther King while he was married to Coretta?
I don't cancel people, not that way, and particularly not about that. If I did, I'd have to cancel half the black preachers I know.
Everybody has
So,
to take a seat.
so I'm waiting on royalty before I ask my next question.
Wait, no, who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't cancel. That's what I was saying at the beginning, because this cancel culture is more the younger generation now. Our generation don't do a lot of canceling because we understand that people are human and people make mistakes. And if we don't know if people have asked for forgiveness or repented on, and they throw it in the sea of forgetfulness. We don't know, but that's not for me to judge. So I don't cancel.
So have we canceled Bill Cosby?
I didn't cancel Bill.
I've never had an issue with Bill Cosby.
Me neither.
And I appreciate y'all for that. This is me giving y'all love.
I love the sign language on this stream tonight.
Right.
We've had giving love. We've had.
I don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in. And look,
Correct.
I probably got some skeletons in my closet that still have meat on the bones.
Yes.
Okay.
So, hey,
I know I do.
Probably gonna put some
Wait a
more in there
minute.
before it's over with.
Jonna, do we have to have like a after dark meeting?
Well, I mean, we can. I don't care now. I used to, but I tell everybody what you want to know. Yeah, I did it. I'll probably do it again if given the opportunity. Every morning by morning, new mercies
Girl.
I see.
Right?
Come on.
Okay.
Come on. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. So, Tall Pump said, would y'all cancel Coretta if she said she didn't care?
Because
No.
Apparently she
Coretta
didn't.
was at home by herself a lot.
Coretta knew he was coming home at the end of the day.
But she was home by herself a lot.
Right.
With all them kids. She probably didn't give a damn probably glad somebody
that's
else
why.
handled that.
Go out
Probably
there
had
and
a Tom.
protest.
She probably had a Tom.
Well, now and then there's that. we don't know what Coretta was doing. at
Coretta
the
was
house.
too busy for a Tom.
She was too busy for a Tom.
Mm-hmm.
You're never too
Please.
busy for Tom. Tom doesn't get canceled.
Coretta told him just go out there and protest and see me next week.
Now, for anybody that might be confused, because this is your first time, time is a mechanical contraption. Time is not a person. Time is a mechanical contraption that has the ability to lift you to heights unknown. Okay, so that's what time is. So we not
Royalty, would you like to demonstrate?
Not today.
Oh,
talking-
I need new batteries.
You got to get those rechargeable batteries, Rhonda, so you can charge your stuff at home.
What did you say the other day? You need a higher wattage. Increase the wattage. Rebel Inc. said she had Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. So there you go.
yes.
So that you know, we ain't talking about Coretta stepping out. We just talking about her taking care of her own business. But at the end of
Talking
it,
about
doesn't
what we're
matter.
talking about.
It doesn't matter. So, and I think that ultimately, as has been really communicated extremely well here by our counterparts, it's not any way, shape, or form that we're looking at people, because we got to be able to understand the difference between this person's calling, their gifting, and what they're doing, and whatever issues they may have. And I'm not looking at your issues, and I'm not going to take those issues and hold them against you in whatever your ministry or your calling or your passion or whatever way you want to label that, because we all have a purpose here. And if you're doing your purpose, you work on your baggage, and that's all I got to say about that. You know,
Tall pups.
she said it's time.
That purple thing.
That purple
I kind of
thing.
like that name.
She said increase your territory. Enlarge my territory. Hey, truck driver 57, come on in here. Come on in here. It's good to see you, Mufasa. So at the end of the day, you know, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna give one more as we get ready to get out of here. I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna give one more shout out. Go out there and look at On These Grounds. It's on Stars. On These Grounds, it's on Stars. I think it'll bless your whole life, and it may be eye-opening and enlightening to some that don't know what's going on with policing in the school system. With that, I'm gonna have my friends say whatever you'd like to share in your final conclusion here, and we're gonna. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank y'all for enduring me and my folly, Rhonda. You said Royalty. You said, what's this got to do with Black history? Everything. It's got everything to do with Black history. And
I didn't say that.
I love you. I love all of y'all. Jonna, Tyrone, Royalty, take us on now. What you got to say?
Well, I think what I took from tonight, we've come a long way, but we still have a ways to go. And we still need to be conscious. We still need to watch. We still need to kick it up, especially if the methods are streamlined towards our children. We got to protect our greatest asset, and that's them. So we need to we've come a long way. We celebrate, but we still have a ways to go. Hang in there. We come this far. Let's keep going.
Yes.
This
Mhm.
far, my baby.
Come on.
Come on.
We're gonna march down the aisle on that.
Leaning.
Lean.
I will say, even though I was late to the call, so I don't know everything, but piggybacking off what John said, I mean, we have a long way to go. We made some progress, but we do have a long way to go, which is sad. To just have to be equal. Yeah, that's really sad. But we have a long way, but we've come far. And we have to continue to fight, and we have to put our best foot out there, and we have to check people when they're wrong. And when they act up, you pull a Malcolm moment and you cut their heads off. Period.
I'm here for that.
And then you say, you shouldn't have said that to me while the blood is squirting everywhere. But if we don't have to go that route, we have a great conversation with people and we converse and we say, I don't appreciate the way you talk to me, but at the end of the day, stand up for yourself, be true to yourself, love yourself, and don't appreciate no disrespect from no man or woman.
Mm-hmm. Throw your hair tied. Throw it.
I know.
Throw it. Throw it. Come through.
And we love you guys.
While we cut your head off.
Yeah,
Like this.
and this stream does not advocate violence
At all.
I'm gonna do the Tyrone. So
we
we
love
are
all
not
people.
advocating any level of violence in the streets or any place else. I just want to make that ever so clear.
We love all people.
We love everybody. All right, Rhonda, the royalty.
Y'all are so crazy. Hey, just like Spiritual Thought Leader Seed says, every week, Tuesday through Friday, pay attention.
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Because things, we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But some things are a lot more subtle. You have to watch what they're trying to do underground.
Yes.
Mhm.
And we'll try to deflect our attention on other things while this is happening underground. So we have to pay attention to everything. Don't just say, oh, they doing it. No, let's watch, because there's interior motive behind everything that's been done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working now with establishing an Arkansas Black Chamber of Commerce.
Awesome.
And so I've been on Zoom meetings with the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce, the Great Georgia, and I'm very impressed with some of the things they're doing and blah, blah, blah. So we're doing one here. And I come to find out through some of the meetings I just had last week that, because we're getting the 501c3 for it. But anything that we submit that has Black in it, they are scrutinizing it even the more. So just little things that they can do here and there is still being done. So we have to be knowledgeable. We have to stay on the breast of it, the cut of it, and know what's going on. Because you know what? If they can't get us one way, they try to get us another way. If they can't do this way, then they're going to try to get us with the pencil and the pen, or they're going to try to get us underground with the kids and da-da-da-da-da. So we need to pay attention to what's happening and nip it in the bud.
Yes.
We just can't let it go on. When we see it's happening, let's do something about it. And at the same time, knowing, I'm not talking about the book of Revelation, but I'm talking about Revelation now. Because what's done in the dark is being revealed.
Come on.
It's coming to the forefront.
Yes.
So let's get ready for that too. And you won't be able to say, ooh, I didn't know that. Ooh, I know, because we're going to know it first.
Yes.
And we're going to call it out. And we're going to slap them upside the head like that video I sent the other day to y'all where he said, call that man the N-word.
He laid him
didn't
out.
take his fist, but he slapped him from here to yonder.
Rhonda, you love a good slap. You will send a slap
good old
video.
slap.
Girl, I love it, girl. I love it, girl. And I smiled, and I probably watched it 10, 12 times.
Me too. It makes my day.
Times. I watched it several times.
Yeah.
And that man just wouldn't stop saying the N-word. I said, slap him again. He ain't got no
And
sense.
then you see how you flip that hat? And whoop,
Baby, but he laid him down in that floor with that last slap.
girl, I love it. Just give me goosebumps, all this. I can see myself going to work doing it. I'm done.
Well, listen, I want to say thank you to everybody that joined us on tonight. Please copy this raid message and follow us. We're going to go someplace and bless somebody else's stream tonight. Jonna, Tyrone, and Royalty, I appreciate each of you as always. It's been a great conversation, and I love you guys. I love everybody that's in the stream. I see SK, I'm going to close with that. One love and one unity. That's what we're about. For real, for real. We're
And
just
one
making
slap.
2 slaps. One more for the
slaps.
Holy Ghost.
And there you have it. Now, I'm trying to close with my piece for the journey after they get finished talking about all this slapping. Oh Lord, y'all just make spiritual thought leaders way so hard. But I do want you to have peace for your journey.